The holidays are right around the corner, and millions of Americans will be hitting the roads, the railways, or the friendly skies to visit relatives. But before you pack your bags, do you know what microscopic passengers are coming along? In part 2 of our hidden series, Hidden Germs, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, we take a look at the germs living in our public transportation systems we use every day. Here's ABC's Nancy Cordes.
How far do you go to avoid germs when you take off, pull out, or leave the station?
I won't use the bathroom in a train. I will not, I refuse to.
Well, I try to avoid the window where children have their face pressed up to it.
I actually use my shirt before even touching the hand.
Or do you just not think about it?
You know, we're all going to die someday, so, why spend your whole life worrying about germs?
And is there really a reason to worry? I mean, aren't germs everywhere?
You should probably take some precautions. You never know who's the last person who grabbed that pole or boarded that bus.
Germ expert Dr. Chuck Gerba says when it comes to public transportation, some of the germiest spots are places you might not expect.
You're in the millions of bacteria on that. So the first one you could lick, this one you shouldn't touch.
To find out what kinds of germs are lurking on that armrest or flush handle, we sent Dr. Gerba on a road trip and an air trip. He tested dozens of the surfaces we touch.
Oh, that's really bad.
Every time we travel, starting with the bus. Dr. Gerba says of all the restrooms he tested, this one on a Greyhound bus was the germiest. He found tens of millions of E. coli bacteria on this toilet seat.
Finding E. coli indicates there's likely fecal matter present. And if that's so, there's other types of bacteria and viruses that can be present that can cause diarrhea, other types of infections, hepatitis.
We showed the results to some frequent bus riders.
Oh gosh, what is that? I think I'm gonna start wearing rubber gloves.
Dr. Gerba was surprised to find relatively low levels of bacteria on the New York City subway. But he did find elevated levels of mold, a potential problem for people with allergies.
What is that, a pizza?
No.
A nasty looking pizza?
That's a combination of mold and bacteria.
Dr. Gerba was not prepared for what he found on an Amtrak train. Millions of coliform on restroom sink handles. That's a bacteria that can indicate fecal contamination. Plus, high bacteria levels on cafe car tables. And MRSA, a bacteria that can cause skin infections on the armrests.
We always found large numbers of bacteria on Amtrak surfaces. Usually we were finding maybe 10 to 100,000 bacteria per square inch.
Next, Dr. Gerba collected germ samples on 4 flights. With a lower volume of passengers, he expected the airplanes to be the least germy mode of transportation of all. They were not.
Some planes were fairly clean and some weren't. But surprisingly, almost all the food trays you pulled down had large numbers of bacteria on them.
And inside the airplane restrooms we tested, Dr. Gerba found E. coli on the toilet seat, the sink, and the flush handle.
This is what you have to look forward to on your flight home tomorrow.
It's disgusting. Something's growing, something's alive. Do they not clean the planes? Do they not wipe them down and spray anti-bac?
On all the planes, trains, and buses, Dr. Gerba found high bacteria levels on spots that are tough for cleaners to reach, like luggage racks. He says hand sanitizer should be a must for regular commuters.
Remember, you're always gambling with germs. And the whole idea is here not to become over paranoid, but to keep the odds in your favor all the time.
We should mention we spoke to a number of companies that operate planes, trains, and buses. Representatives from Greyhound, for example, told us the buses are cleaned at least once a day. The Metro Transit Authority in New York said the same thing about the subway cars. Amtrak told us their trains are cleaned thoroughly at the end of each trip. And the Air Transport Association of America told us they look to CDC guidelines when it comes to how and when to clean the inside of planes. And they say there is no evidence that airplanes have any more germs than other public places, Bill.
So hand sanitizer is the last line of defense?
Always the best way to go, or wash your hands when you get to work if you're a commuter. And also just don't assume that because something looks clean that it is clean. And obviously, Bill, you're going to have to kick that tray table licking habit that you've got.
It's so hard, though. But great info, especially with flu season coming up as well.
Absolutely. This is the time to do it.
Thank you.